Hey, good morning. Welcome. It's Tuesday, time for another edition of the Chronicles. As I've always mentioned at the very beginning of my Chronicles, um, I'm not here to waste your time, so I like to give you a little bit of a preview of what's going to come in the story. I'm going to talk about a number of things, but one of the main threads is going to be the idea of emergence and what that means to art and how that might be affected going forward with the evolution of artificial intelligence. Before I get into the story, though, I want to do a bit of housekeeping. This is probably my sixth or seventh video. I kind of lose track on they're scheduled and they come out, and this is probably number 7 in a series. So I'm really new at this and I'm learning each time, and I certainly want to understand better your feedback. And if you take a few minutes to comment, it really helps. I think of a movie sometimes a lot about my subscriber base, which is probably not even 10 at this point. But I think of the film Field of Dreams that Kevin Costner was in, and there was a line in there like, "Build it and they will come." Well, I'm building it, and these are stories, and I'm hopeful that my audience will come. So enough said about that. Let's get on with the story. About 15 or 20 years ago now, I was on a trek, and it was in Australia. And I think it was, I'm pretty sure near Perth in that area. And I was walking along this trail and I saw this huge mound. And I didn't really know what it was. I thought, well, could that be ants or whatever? Well, come to find out, it was a large termite mound. And I noticed it, this thing is huge, probably, 3 or 4 feet in diameter. And it was probably 2.5 to 3 feet off the ground, so it was really large, right? Okay, on the back side, though, somebody broke it apart, and I was curious, and I went to look at that structure inside, and it was amazing, truly amazing. There were all kinds of intricate caverns and architecture and structures. I thought about it and I realized no one in their wildest imagination could have created that. So, what is it? Well, it's an emergence. It's an emergence in the sense that all these termites labored through the course of their life, and they built this huge structure for their shelter, having really no idea about what it would look or appear like. And when I saw it, I realized it was an expression of a lifetime of energy, work, and experience. And I think that's where art comes from. It's really an emergence. I think of it as a lifetime of emotions that are felt, a lifetime of thoughts that are developed by a natural, inherent curiosity about things. And when those two things merge, meaning thought and emotion, come together, at that intersection, I think that's where the essence of creativity lies. I've been a student of creative processes all my life in my career. And I've never quite come to grips with it after all these years in any other way. And certainly as a painter, which I became in the later part of my life, that's where I found the magic, when I could bring together thought and emotion, and you get in the groove and you express, and you never quite know what's next. The same was true with writing. I found my characters literally took over. I write fiction, so my characters literally took over. And there would be mornings when I would come and sit in a big chair, and I would not have the slightest clue about what that day's work in the form of writing would be. And pretty soon, my characters actually began to speak, and I felt my words through those characters. And then it opened up, and I could write, usually 1,200 to 2,000 words a day. And I did that. Usually my novels would take about 3 years, integrating the research and everything else. So it's art in its essence is an emergence. So now let me ask this question. We're surrounded by probably the emergence of the most significant technology in the history of mankind. There are all kinds of labels and letters to describe it, but really it's an artificial intelligence. And I don't really know that it's artificial. I think I prefer it as an inorganic intelligence rather than an organic intelligence, right? Well, I'm not going to get into any word games other than the fact that I've been using and been totally fascinated by all the different models for AI agents like ChatGPT-4 and others. There's a proliferation of many others, Perplexity, etc., etc. So it's natural to wonder, will those forms of intelligence be able to create art? And that, I find, is not only a fascinating question, but one that doesn't have an easy answer. I know it's going to influence any type of storytelling, writing, painting, anything I do going forward. It's going to have a major impact on that, because it's like I'm going to have this buddy sitting on my shoulder, and I'll be able to talk back and forth with it and brainstorm and get ideas and push myself to another level. I think that's going to be a reality by the end of the year. Now, but stepping back to the basic question, will these new forms of intelligence be able to create art? Let's try this experiment. Imagine we're sitting in a room like this one, and think of it as over my left shoulder, I have a window behind me. And over my right shoulder, I have another window behind me. So there are two windows behind me. And in front of me, in the direction of this camera, there's another window, but it's only one window. So now let's suppose that if it's true that thought and emotion, when they converge, is an important aspect of creativity, think about it this way. Experiences come in through the left window, thoughts come through the right window, they merge, and they go forward at that point of convergence. And that creates an art, something that is different than either pure thought or pure emotion. Now, imagine this. Now, the feelings come in one side, and the thoughts come in the other window. And those thoughts are an integration between a human intelligence, that means an organic intelligence, and an inorganic intelligence. And they move forward, and they converge. And up to this point, there's no evidence to suggest that artificial forms of intelligence will embody an emotional component. So those come together and they pass through the front window. What happens? Is that art? Is that qualify as art? Well, I'm not here to debate or suggest I have the answer. But more and more, as more and more learning takes place, and I think it's learning on the organic side of intelligence, the humans, as well as inorganic. I don't buy the notion that one learning, the learning we're seeing now in artificial forms is the only kind of learning that's happening. I think it's that mixture between the human and the inorganic intelligence that are creating a new level of insight. And when that insight is amplified by emotion, I think there are endless possibilities. And I'm excited by those. So I'll end this little story with that. And I hope you find it of interest. And if you do, again, I would appreciate subscribing because it helps me an awful lot. And as always, I want you to have a great day. Before I push the stop button here on my camera, I'm gonna give you an idea. Going forward, we're going to have some other stories. And I'm just going to do a reminder because I've covered some of these in a prior video. And I've got my notes here, the same notes as before. And the ones that I know I haven't completed yet are, one is called Marriage and Martinis. And I think you'll find that exceptionally interesting if you're in any kind of a relationship. And the next one is, I'm working on that now, and I'm kind of excited about where the story's going, and it's called The Hammer of Witches. And I think it's going to have a twist that really reflects on a lot of the chaos that's going on at the moment in all of our lives. And then there's another one. I've done a dry run of this, and I think I'm going to redo it, but I think it'll come out okay. It's called Switching Gears or Jumping Off Cliffs. Have you ever switched gears and done something completely different in your life? If you have, you might want to compare what you experienced to some of the experiences that I'll share in that story. So, again, goodbye for now. I hope you enjoyed this chronicle, and if so, share it with somebody else. That's what conversation is about. We learn from each other and we share our stories. Talk to you soon. Every day is special, and it's your turn to make some hope and share it with somebody else. Thanks a bunch.